This is Professor Carpenter at Valencia College. This week, you'll be conducting a peer review of a classmate's descriptive essay. You've done this before with the narrative essay. So here are the lesson's objectives. We'll focus on reviewing and applying the guidelines of the peer review rubric, which is identical to the final rubric used to assess the descriptive essay, and demonstrate ways to give specific constructive feedback on descriptive essays. We're actually going to walk through a sample descriptive essay using the rubric. So just a reminder, you've seen this before. Peer review fits into the overall process of constructing an essay because you've developed the framework or planning sheet and a rough draft, and now your peers help support the construction of your essay by giving you feedback. Just a reminder that feedback is information on actual performance that individuals compare with criteria for ideal performance. Your actual performance is your descriptive essay in its rough draft state. The ideal performance is the rubric that you'll use and that I'll use to measure. And if you meet all the criteria, you've met ideal performance. And feedback is how you get to that ideal performance. So here's what the peer review worksheet looks like. And that's the one that you'll use to evaluate your classmate's descriptive essay. And this rubric is identical to the final rubric, except for in the columns where there were points earned, there's a yes, no, and a place for comments. You also get an opportunity at the end to describe strengths and ways to improve to your classmates' paper. So because your constructive feedback is so important to your peer, this lecture gives you an opportunity to learn how you can give feedback more effectively. So in order to make this peer review session more real, let's walk through peer reviewing a sample descriptive essay. The author of this descriptive essay selected the painting called Subconscious Interlude as the subject of the essay. So first, let's look at the first category on the peer review rubric you'll use for this class, the introduction. We've discussed different strategies we can use to gain our readers' attention, including starting with a quotation, a question, facts about the artist's work, or a reflection. So let's also look at the thesis, whether the author clearly shows conclusions about the meaning the painting conveys. And let's see how the author of our sample essay did. So here is the author's introduction and thesis. A concealed message is a message that can be seen behind a painting. This message can be interpreted as a happy moment preceding a sad one. After facing the problems and the bad moments, man can stand up again on his feet and perceive ideas that he couldn't have done before. So here the author began with a theme, concealed message, and then gave the reader a definition. The author then clearly describes the message in the thesis statement. So that is the thesis that this author selected for the painting. So now let's look at the thesis to see if the objects, colors, and details in the painting support it. The author feels the message of the painting is a happy moment preceding a sad one. The moral he or she derives is that after facing the problems and the bad moments, man can stand up again on his feet and perceive ideas that he couldn't have done before. So think about if you see details in the painting that support this thesis, and if so, which ones? The next criteria on our rubric is sensory details, followed by word choice. We want to review the essay to see if the author uses details that appeal to taste, touch, sound, sight, or smell. Look at the essay carefully for examples of the senses. You can jot down where you find them in a chart like this, or you can use track changes to note where they are in your peer reviewer's essay. So as we look at this particular essay, we can find examples of smell and touch in sentences such as, the air is blowing, it is full of spring and blossoming scents, so there we have a smell. The seawater is cold, there we have a touch. We also see samples of simile, metaphor, and personification. So those are the types of things you want to look for as you're looking through your classmate's essay. So here we can look at senses, touch, taste, sight, sound, and smell, and we can take notes from this particular essay to see if all of those senses are covered. The author uses personification in the phrase, the rose is bleeding inside. So the author does use an example of figurative language. The author also uses a simile in The rose seems like a sad queen. So another criteria on the rubric is the use of figurative language, and we've seen that there are some examples there. Um, in addition to the ones we've discussed, the author uses a metaphor when saying that the rose is fragile beauty itself, and personification when saying the flower has a melancholy look, its breath is fast and crying, it seems like it wants to protect itself from something. And personification is also seen in the description of the boat, which doesn't seem to have any worries or concerns about anything and is not in a hurry. And finally, we want to look at the conclusion. This essay concludes with old Chinese people used to say that a painting equals 1,000 words. Thousands of words can describe subconscious interlude. It is a journey of the mind and the soul through sense, sound, taste, touch, and vision. So think about if that fits in with the thesis statement. So next we want to be specific about the strengths of the essay. This will differ with different readers. So you can think about what your favorite sentence of the essay is, or what did you think the author did a great job on. For ways to improve, you want to think about at least 2 specific sentences or phrases that the author could have improved on. I would say, after reading the essay, the message, a happy moment preceding a sad one. Happy and sad are pretty general words, so the author could use more vivid words than happy or sad. So that could be an example of a suggestion for improvement. I'd suggest looking for more vivid descriptions. So, the conclusion here that I wanted to reveal is that we actually reviewed an example of a descriptive essay that came from Essaypedia, which means that someone actually paid an essay writing service to write it. So the one that we just analyzed actually came off the internet. If a teacher or you did a search for the thesis statement there, you'd actually bring up this and be able to bring it up right away and see that this was an example of plagiarism. So remember that your instructors can use services such as Turnitin and other sites to check sources. So this is a creative assignment and a real opportunity to use your own words and select a painting or piece of art that speaks to you. So you don't have to order it from a site or do anything of this sort. Just use your creativity, pick a painting, and come up with your own interpretation. So here are some ways to avoid plagiarism. Use your own words and your own voice. This is a great opportunity to pick, if you pick a personal photograph or a painting, just give your own voice and your own interpretation. And it's okay to use quotations from a source, but use quotation marks and cite your source properly using the standards for MLA, which means that you give the author and the page number and the title of the work. So this concludes our session on conducting a peer review of a descriptive essay.